there, Buttercups. Your resident Teabelle here. Welcome to Hark, 'tis the Teabelle. Let's dive in for that tea today, huh? All right, Buttercups. We have dissected this movie from top to bottom. Now, the next step is to look into the fun facts surrounding the movie, which, it's always fun with that. That being said, let's go ahead and start with fun fact number one. And that is going to be first choices. Now, it's clear that when we think of Forrest Gump, the man, we think of Tom Hanks, right? But that was not always the case. According to AARP, an article they had someone write, he wasn't anybody's first choice for this role, okay? Even the author, Winston Groom, he imagined John Goodman. And why? Because in the book, Forrest is actually 6'6" and 240 pounds. Now, that makes sense because John Goodman, that's kind of his thing. Now, director Robert Zemeckis, he wanted Bill Paxton. Now, why didn't they choose him? Well, at the time, he didn't have enough star power, and so the studios turned him down. Okay. Robert Zemeckis also would have been happy with Harry Anderson, but due to another engagement, he was unavailable. Now, there are some other actors that you might know of that were offered the role but turned it down. That would be Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, and John Travolta. Now, don't get me wrong. I think each and every one of the actors that we have talked about is truly talented, right? Like John Travolta in Grease, absolutely. Or Chevy Chase in any of the movies that he has been in is amazing. And Bill Murray, come on now. Awesome. However, now that we have seen this movie for as long as we have, Tom Hanks is our Forrest Gump. Okay? Now, let's follow this rabbit hole a little bit more and learn that the love of Forrest's life, Jenny, also could have been someone else entirely. Okay? Now, when Robin Wright won this role, she won our hearts as well. Okay? And so I wanted to see a little deep dive about her, right? And so here's what I learned. Robin Virginia Gale Wright was born on April 8th, 1966 in Dallas, Texas. Hello, fellow Aries. Woo! Now, she was the youngest with an older brother. Her parents divorced, and she went to live with her mom and brother in California. Now, she did spend most of her childhood under her mom's care in San Diego. She still maintained a bond, though, with her dad, where she spent summers with him in Dallas. Now, her mom rose to the ranks of Mary Kay Cosmetics, and that meant that the kids tagged along for the journey. Eventually, her mom remarried, and Robin gained step-siblings. Now, while in high school, she actually began modeling, which gave her opportunities to visit Europe, North Africa, and Japan. And y'all, she embraced the travel over the spotlight. She loved seeing the new places because she felt like modeling was really a humiliating business. And she was treated like a piece of meat. Now, one of those examples is that there was a photographer in Paris, a short-tempered photographer, and he insulted her body by calling her butt too big and her chest too small. Look, y'all, she is a beautiful woman, and modeling is just very temperamental. You have to have a special set of strength to be able to do it, in my opinion. However, she chose to spend the Christmas holiday in California in 1983, where she was almost immediately hired for commercials. So, in 1984, she quit modeling and tried acting instead. Her debut on TV was made on the final episode of The Yellow Rose on NBC on May 12, 1984. In June of that year, she was also in a music video for the song Girls Like You by Combo Nation. They were or could be still, a Santa Barbara-based band. So 1984 is progressing, so was her career. She was the main heroine in the daytime soap Santa Barbara. Now, this soap would air until January 15th, 1993. And she would play the role of Kelly Capwell from July 30th of 1984 until June 23rd of 1988. And that was episode 982. So this show had a good long run. All right. Now, she also turned down roles too, and I'm not surprised because she was probably like very popular and a hit. She could have been Lisa in Weird Science, but because she was still working on Santa Barbara, she couldn't take it. And this is where we learn that Kelly LeBrock really wasn't the first choice for Lisa, but she will be etched in our hearts for this movie, okay? That character. Moving back to Robin, though. Robin was featured in the U.S. magazine Soap Opera Digest. And the article, which was written by Ellen Byron, says that once in a blue moon, something magical happens on daytime television. A young unknown suddenly appears. Often he or she is untrained and inexperienced. But these fledgling stars are gifted with such incredible beauty and natural talent that they instantly captivate the audience, and voila. Like they say in the movies, a star is born. In this case, Ellen Byron was talking about Robin Wright. Now, remember, she turned down the lead role in Weird Science. Okay. Well, she was also offered the leading role in Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze. But she turned it down because of her busy work schedule on the soap opera, Santa Barbara, but also because she was filming The Princess Bride. But here's the thing. I couldn't imagine anybody else as Baby but Jennifer Grey. And when I tell you, all Buttercups, that this is one of my most favorite movies ever, it is. I could quote it to a point at one time. So, yes, she turned down roles, but that gave other stars opportunities, right? Now, as far as her personal life goes, she was married to Dane Witherspoon from 1986 to 1988. She went on to marry Sean Penn in 96 and stayed married to him until 2010. And then on her third try, she married a man named Clement Girardeau. I am so sorry if I mispronounce your name. I apologize. In 2018, and they divorced in 2022. Now, at 59, she is dating British-Australian architect Henry Smith, and this relationship follows her 2022 divorce. Now, she is currently starring in, directing, and exclusively producing a show called The Girlfriend. Now, she is doing really great. She's had successes, And some other actresses that we might have seen possibly of Jenny, if she had not gotten the role, would have been Jodie Foster, Nicole Kidman, and Demi Moore. Okay? So, Forrest and Jenny could have been someone altogether differently in our view. Who else in this movie had this issue? Well, that would have been Bubba. Okay, now Bubba is also etched in our hearts because, it's Bubba. He is the shrimp and boat. He is the shrimp and boat captain who should have been, and also he is the man who knows all about shrimping. But others were considered, obviously. Now here are some of the others that were considered but turned down the role. Dave Chappelle, Ice Cube, and David Allen Greer. Okay. Now who else was considered? Well, that was Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, and Martin Lawrence. Now, ultimately, Williamson did get the role. However, every actor or actress that was considered for these three roles, they have such talent. However, in the end, everybody chose their course, and it is what it is now, right? Which I think is awesome because don't get me wrong. In my mind, I absolutely adore John Travolta and Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Demi Moore, Jodie Foster, Nicole Kidman, all of these actors and actresses, Dave Chappelle, Ice Cube, David Allen Greer, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, and Martin Lawrence, they were all such amazing actors and actresses in their own rights. But they did what they did, and they end up where they end up, and they still were talented actors even if they did not get this role. Okay, so we've talked about first choices, but what about making it a family affair, right? Now, obviously, there was a time where Tom Hanks was a household name and probably still is. But did you know that his brother Jim Hanks is also an actor and filmmaker? Now, it turns out that Jim Hanks acted as a double for his brother that included scenes that featured the high knee arm pumping running we see. Now, it's obvious Tom Hanks did have other doubles, but it turns out that the run was a family thing. As Jim said, that's a stupid Hanks thing. In fact, Jim has been a double for his brother in more than one way. He has done voice acting subbing for Tom, including Sheriff Woody for Toy Story and video games and talking toys. Okay, now, it's not just bringing the brother on set to do the run. It also means that when you watch the bus scene where Forrest is getting on the bus for the first time, that scene also includes Hank's daughter, Elizabeth. Now, I did rewatch this scene, and I think she was the redheaded girl with the almost the little French braids on top that were really cute, sitting in front of Forrest and Jenny, but I can't obviously confirm that. Now, who else? Another child, specifically Robert Zemeckis' son, the director, Alexander, played one of the mini boys who wouldn't let Forrest sit next to them. I could not confirm this one, however, doesn't surprise me. It's interesting because, like a side note, I've heard that Adam Sandler has his true real life wife play in almost every movie that he either directs or stars in. And she seems to be a minor character, but she still gets in there. So, hey, you do what you do, right? Okay, so we've talked about the family ties, the first choices. Now we're going to just say that sometimes you just have to be at the right place at the right time to to get what you need, right? This applies to Haley Joel Osment, or Little Forrest as we know him, because he was at the right place at the right time. Why, you ask? Well, it turns out that our director, Robert Zemeckis, spotted him in a Pizza Hut TV ad, and he was cast. Done. This was his first film ever. It would take 5 years, but he would become an international sensation as the little boy who saw dead people in The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis. Now, don't get me wrong. I truly believe in right place, right time. I believe at right place, wrong time, and I believe at right place, wrong place, right time. However, for Haley Joel Osment and Zemeckis, this was Kismet, okay? Because this would put him on a path of stardom. And apparently the little boy had talent, or he wouldn't have just been cast, right? Woohoo! Nowadays, when you see special effects, it's easily CGI, right? And it would be easy to show us a man nowadays who lost both of his legs in the war without that man actually losing his legs, right? But it made me wonder what it took then, when the movie was produced, to achieve this look, and without the actor actually losing his legs. Well, it turns out that a master of illusions named Ricky Jay designed a wheelchair for the actor Gary Sinise, who would appear to have lost both of his legs. Now, how? Okay, you ask, I answer. That would be because there was a hidden platform for the actor's legs, but it involved a certain level of flexibility or proportions that made it so that he could only endure this 10 minutes at a time. Now, they did actually use digital effects in other scenes. So this was one of the ways that they were able to give us the illusion that Lieutenant Dan, or Gary, had really lost his legs, which is interesting if you think about it in terms of the way how far we've come from then to now. Now, we obviously know that Forrest went to Vietnam and fought, but where did they film that, and was it actually in Vietnam? Now, absolutely not is the obvious answer, right? Then what is the real answer? Well, the real answer is that they used two lush palm studded islands just off the South Carolina coast. The islands specifically were Fripp Island and Hunting Island State Park. Well, how did they make it look so much like Vietnam, right? Well, they added palmetto trees to portray a more tropical background. Now, it also wasn't just the scenes for Vietnam that were shot in South Carolina. Many scenes were shot in or around Beaufort, South Carolina. And for any South Carolinians that tell me I mispronounced that, I'm apologizing now, because I know that there are multiple pronunciations for that depending on where you are. But I digress. So, and we obviously know that everything has a budget. So it would not have been in the budget to fly everybody to Vietnam and back for this kind of situation. So it makes sense. And it tells you about the, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The willingness and the devotion, the dedication to get it, well, as correct as they can. Now, sometimes you get off the mark, but it's the thought that counts, and hopefully that you get it right. just try and do your best to get it right. That's all I'm saying. But good job. You did good. South Carolina worked. Now, it's generally a rule that not every line is scripted, right? There are some lines that make it into movies or shows that become absolutely iconic when, in fact, it was just a line that they improv on, right? Well, it also obviously occurred in this movie. Okay. We first meet Bubbo, and when we hear, "My given name is Benjamin Buford Blue, but people call me Bubba," Hanks went off the script and responded with, "My name is Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump." Zemeckis loved this so much that he kept it in the film. And that means to me that yes, having a script is wonderful, knowing where you're going to go is amazing, but sometimes taking a step off the path isn't such a terrible thing, right? And in this case, it worked out, so they kept it. One thing we learned in Fried Green Tomatoes and Shawshank Redemption is that people sometimes tend to overlook little things in our outfits that we choose to wear, okay? In Fried Green Tomatoes and Shawshank Redemption, it was the shoes. Well, for Forrest, it's not just his shoes, although they are recognizable because they are probably the ones that Jenny gave him. But for him, he seems to favor a checkered blue shirt when the film changes over time periods, right? Which leads us into the idea that Forrest is a person of routine, of habit, which would make sense that he would keep some sort of checkered blue shirt if that's something he was um used to, right? So the more you know. Now, we are well aware that the bench that he sits on to regale us is in our beloved Savannah, Georgia, right? Now, currently, specifically, it is located at the Savannah History Museum. But while there are benches located in Chippewa Square where it was all filmed, there wasn't one where the director wanted one specifically. So they put a fiberglass prop bench and it was facing outwards so he could wait for his bus while he regaled us, right? And so it's just interesting. They did have to put the bench though behind something in the Savannah History Museum because people were trying to take it from what I've heard. Doesn't surprise me though. Now, there is a little more information on Chippewa Square in my podcast, should you be so desired. Now, if I'm mistaken and there's not one, you know what? That just gives me a reason to do an episode on Chippewa Square. So, regardless, let me know. We're going to travel back to meeting Lieutenant Dan for the first time in Vietnam, okay? Now, this is where we learn that someone from his family had fought for and died in every single American war, right? Well, that backstory isn't that far-fetched, right, for the actor himself. Now, it turns out that Gary's family has a history of military service, and this would make him an ardent supporter of veterans' causes throughout his life and career. Now, what does this mean? Well, this includes a band called Lieutenant Dan Band that plays at military bases around the world. It also includes the Gary Sinise Foundation, and this raises money for wounded vets, first responders, and their families. Now, he was also awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal in 2008 for all of his good work. So there are little Easter eggs throughout this whole movie, right? We just talked about the checkered blue shirt. Well, Lieutenant Dan has one too. What is it? It is a rosary that includes a Saint Christopher medal with the inscription, "Protect us in combat." This was a real thing that was close to his heart, not just the character, but the actor, because this was worn by his brother-in-law who served in the Vietnam War as a medic. You know, the war that his character is fighting in? Well, his brother-in-law actually fought in it. So they tried to bring some kind of realness to it, and it appears that Gary has a soft spot for the military and their family in real life as well. Good job, Gary. Every time I see the scene with Elvis and young Forrest, like not little Forrest, young Forrest, I always comment on the use of the blurring of the actor who does actually play Elvis in this and actually does remind me of Elvis, the way they blurred it, right? Now, this not yet famous actor was Peter Dobson. Now, the voice, that was Kurt Russell. Now, why would they use one actor for his looks and one for his voice? Well, Buttercups, that would be because Kurt Russell had played Elvis recently in a 1979 biopic film titled Elvis. So he had already had a reputation, I suppose, as being Elvis, so that was the voice people knew. And this unknown, well, he didn't quite have the voice for it, I guess, or maybe they just preferred Kurt Russell. But thanks, Kurt Russell, and thanks, Peter Dobson. In my mind, every single actor or actress has one line or several lines from a movie that they never want to hear again in their lifetime, okay? I believe I heard once that Allison Hannigan, she played on How I Met Your Mother and a lot of different other opportunities, and she hates the line, one time in band camp, yes. But Tom Hanks is a nice guy from what we hear. But he draws one line in the chocolate, and that is being asked to say the very memorable line, "Life is like a box of chocolates." Now, he was on a show that he made it very clear that this line is no longer in his repertoire. Okay? He clearly is like, I said it. Did I stutter? I'm done with it. But I can get it. I mean, that how many times did he really have to say that line? How many attempts did it really take for them to shoot every single scene? And that included that line. And how many times did he hear it because it was an integral part of the movie? So, we get you, Tom Hanks. We get you. We did a little deep dive on Robin Wright, our Jenny. Well, it only seems fair that Tom Hanks, as our Forrest, gets his own little deep dive, right? So here's where we're going to start. Tom Hanks, full name Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, was born on July 9th, 1956 in Concord, California. He began acting in the late 1970s, rising to wider recognition through early film and television work before achieving major stardom in the 1980s. Hank's breakout role is widely considered his performance as Josh Baskin in the 1988 fantasy comedy Big, which established him as a leading box office draw and earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He rose further to prominence with roles in Splash in 1984, The Money Pit in 1986, and A League of Their Own in 1992. He also went on to win back-to-back Oscars for Philadelphia in 1993 and Forrest Gump in 1994. Now, off-screen, Hanks is a devoted family man. He has been married to actress Rita Wilson since 1988, and together they have two sons, Chet and Truman. From his first marriage to Samantha Lewis, who performed under the name Samantha Lewis, he has two children, Colin Hanks and Elizabeth Ann Hanks. His daughter, E.A. Hanks, released a memoir in 2025 about her childhood, which drew public attention and Hanks' supportive response. Many fans continue to celebrate his long career and family legacy well into his 60s. Now, in terms of current updates, Hanks remains actively involved in new projects across the film, theater, and television genres. In recent years, he has appeared in the 2024 drama Here and in the 2025 Wes Anderson film The Phoenician Scheme, a black comedy thriller featuring a star-studded ensemble. He's also slated to co-write and star in the off-Broadway play The World of Tomorrow later in 2025. Additionally, he served as a narrator of the nature documentary series The Americas, which premiered early 2025. These projects show Hanks continuing to diversify his creative work while maintaining his status as one of Hollywood's most respected figures. Now, most iconic Tom Hanks films. These are the roles that cemented him as America's favorite everyman. Big in 1998, his breakout role, Childlike Wonder in Adult Bodies. Right? An adult body. Forrest Gump in 1994. Arguably his best famous role, cultural phenomenon, as we all know. Philadelphia in 1993, groundbreaking dramatic performance. Saving Private Ryan in 1998 is a World War II epic. He was Captain John Miller. Castaway in 2000, a one-man survival story. Plus Wilson. A League of Their Own. 1992, There's No Crying in Baseball. Apollo 13 in 1995, real-life heroism in space. The Green Mile, Top Notch in 1999, an emotional supernatural drama. Wonderful, wonderful movie. I love it. Toy Story series, 1995 to 2019. He was Sheriff Woody. Catch Me If You Can in 2002. A cat and mouse charm with Leonardo DiCaprio. What a cutie pie. And one of my absolute favorites, You've Got Mail in 1998. And it was a true rom-com classic. Okay. So, he is one of the most decorated actors of his generation. Okay. So some of his major awards and honors. Academy Awards, Oscars. He got the Best Actor in 1993 for Philadelphia and 1994 for Forrest Gump. He got multiple wins, including Best Actor in the Golden Globe Awards for Big, Forrest Gump, and Castaway. He got the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement 2020. Primetime Emmy Awards winner as producer for Band of Brothers and From the Earth to the Moon. A Presidential Medal of Freedom 2016, awarded by President Barack Obama for cultural impact. AFI Life Achievement Award 2002. Screen Actors Guild SAG Awards, multiple wins including Lifelong Achievement Award. Now, we've talked about Tom Hanks, we've talked about Forrest Gump, we talked about all this. But now we're going to tell you the top 5 must-watch Tom Hanks films. Top 5. All right, number 5. Toy Story. 1995. Voice acting perfection. Woody became a generation-defining character, and this film shows how Hanks can bring warmth and humanity to absolutely anything. Number 4. Castaway, 2000. A masterclass in acting with almost no dialogue. Just Hank's survival and emotional endurance. But we can't forget Wilson. 3. Big, 1988. His breakout role in pure charm on display. Funny, heartfelt, and proof that Hanks could carry both comedy and depth early in his career. Number 2. Saving Private Ryan, 1998. A powerful, grounded World War II performance that shows Hanks at his most restrained and human. The opening sequence alone makes this essential viewing. And drum roll, please. Number 1. The one we were talking about, Forrest Gump, 1994. This definitive Tom Hanks role is heartbreaking, hopeful, and endlessly quotable. This is the film that turned him into a cultural icon. Absolutely iconic, everybody. Now, it is a little cruel because 5 is not enough for this man. And so here are some honorable mentions. Philadelphia, The Green Mile, Apollo 13, A League of Their Own, and Catch Me If You Can. Now, no matter what happens or what we do with what our thoughts on Tom Hanks, he is absolutely an icon. And it is amazing. Buttercups, I thank you for listening and for being a part of this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you have a great week ahead. Now, should you have any questions, comments, or, maybe future topics, you can email me at harktistheteabelle@gmail.com. You can locate me on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. And please remember that this is a one-woman show. So As we go on this journey together, you are growing as I grow. But until next time, Buttercups,